All right, right before I jump into this episode, I just want to say that there will be no music for this episode because I cannot find it through any of my usual resources, as well as I've seen that there have been some copyright strikes on people using some of the music from this game, even just in their YouTube videos for playthroughs. So no music will be in this episode. Sorry, guys. All right, what is happening, everybody? Welcome to episode number 24 of the Bards of Gaming podcast. And if it sounds like I'm living in a zoo, I do apologize. That is my bird in the other room. And as much as I do love him and take care of him, I do not know how to make him be quiet for an episode, so we're just going to have to listen to his cheerful chirps. So this week, we're going to be covering Dismantle, which, from what I can tell, is a lesser known indie game that came out in 2021, I believe. And I have mixed feelings about it. If you've listened to the show the last couple episodes, you'll have heard that I've played it. I thought about streaming it, decided against it because one of the things that I was using this game for was to play on something while I watched my school lectures. So there wasn't really a lot of time for me to just stream it. But we're going to get into everything about this episode shortly. This is going to be another super special solo episode because that's typically what I do for indie games. And I don't really have a lot to introduce or announce in the beginning of this episode. Things have been kind of boring on my end, just work and schoolwork and stuff like that. Things have been going pretty good in my work life, so hopefully that doesn't jinx it, knock on wood. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I've been in discussions with some other creators and might be doing some collaboration episodes with them coming forward. One of them being Aeon Driver Gaming, who I've shouted him out quite a few times in the last few episodes. He's a really great guy. He's a massive game collector, and his channel is actually really, really cool. He likes to focus on some stuff that he focuses on some lesser known games and some more AAA titles and stuff. But he's all over the place. He's got a really great collection. I definitely go recommend checking him out. I'll put a link to his Instagram in the bio, and you definitely go give him a follow. He's a great guy. So I might be doing an episode with him coming up. But other than that, nothing really too crazy to announce. What I've been playing lately is, again, kind of all over the place. I started playing The Division to prepare for the special episode that I'm going to be doing with the guest who won the drawing, the t-shirt giveaway. So that's exciting. Hopefully that they're still on board to record that episode with me. If not, I'll be having another buddy do it with me. I'm having a lot of fun with that game. The Division so far, it's looking good. I'm having a great time. So other than that, just playing around with my buddies. I'm playing Euro Truck Driving Simulator 2 because I just bought myself that that steering wheel rig for an early birthday gift for myself. But yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, I say we just jump into the episode. So with no further ado, see you in there. All right, just gonna get a little drink of coffee here. All right, so this week, as I stated in the intro, I am going to be covering Dismantle. Now, I put out a post on my Instagram earlier this morning, basically saying, like, anybody who's played this game, give me your thoughts. Haven't received anything, not surprised for a couple of reasons. One, I did not put out that post very long ago. It has not been very long. So I do apologize if anybody does give me their thoughts, and I've recorded this episode already. My bad. Still getting used to this whole social media thing. Not the greatest at it, but working on it. But also because I don't really know anybody who's played this game. Much like Tribes of Midgard, I picked it up on a sale for like dirt cheap, and it looked like fun. I picked this up actually right after I got done playing Tribes of Midgard. And I was like, oh, okay, the combat looks kind of similar. It's kind of like that bird's eye view, isometric, sort of like running around, hack and slash sort of gameplay style. And I thought it looked fun. So I like zombie games. It kind of reminded me of a mix of like Project Zomboid, if anybody's played that, and 7 Days to Die with Tribes of Midgard kind of gameplay. It looked cool. And it was cool for the most part. I did have a good time with it, but you'll definitely hear more about all of my thoughts going forward. So this little game journal of mine, this podcast, is just that pretty much. Like I'm if you're new to the show, I basically just like to put out, my thoughts on a game, what I didn't like about it, what I do like about it, after I've played it, or if I'm just reminiscing about it with a couple of buddies. So this is just an announcement for anybody who might be a new listener. This podcast is more or less just like my passionate gaming journal. And at the same time, if I can get a buddy of mine to join in with me, then we kind of journal our thoughts into it, and we give the game a rating at the end. It's kind of like our review podcast, so it's a good time. Hang around. But so for Dismantle, I'm gonna start out with my dislikes, and to jump right into things. The first thing that I noticed, I didn't really like. It didn't rock my world. Was the gameplay loop. Now, don't be mistaken, because the gameplay loop also is a like of mine. So a lot of these things that I'm going to list off are going to be kind of like a bittersweet sort of reason. So it had a very fun gameplay loop. It was very much like Dark Souls in a sense, where yeah, it's a hack and slash game, but every time you die, like you literally, it is so much like Dark Souls, it's uncanny. You have to run around the map killing zombies, breaking items, collecting resources, and finding bonfires. Wink wink. And so every time you find a bonfire, you have to, that's a checkpoint. You respawn there, you can cook there, upgrade your shit there, level up there, whatever. So it's just like a bonfire in Dark Souls. So aside from the bonfires, you can also unlock these terminal links, and there's like 9 of them throughout the map, because there's like 9 different major sections across the map, and each major section has its own terminal link. The terminal link is basically just a radio tower, which in the beginning doesn't really do a whole lot for you. It unlocks the map area that you're in visually, so you can kind of see it more when you pull up the map. But in the later in the game, you unlock the ability to add attachments to the radio tower, to the terminal link. And some of the attachments, what they can do is they can prevent enemies from spawning back once you've killed them. So once you go back to the bonfire, if you've put on this attachment to the terminal link, Jesus Christ, I'm sorry, this my bird's going ballistic in the other room. But once you put on these attachments, one of them prevents the enemies from spawning back after you go to a bonfire. Because normally you would go to a bonfire, heal yourself, whatever, and then every enemy would be back. Just like Dark Souls. So that's what one attachment does. Another attachment will respawn all the enemies in the area, because once you kill the enemies, you get these like mana orbs, which can be used for certain building items and stuff later in the game. But one thing, that the reason why the gameplay loop is a negative for me is because it's so repetitive. And if the game were kept to, 15 hours, 20 hours max, it wouldn't be that bad. It's fun. There's enough to see. There's enough variation throughout the game. It does feel like through the entirety of the game, you are upgrading things, finding new things, whatever. So there's enough to it where, yes, sure, the gameplay loop is very repetitive, but you're consistently upgrading. It's not like it's not like some of the games I've talked about in the past where you hit a certain point 2/3 of the way through the game, like Doom, where you stop getting new stuff and you're kind of just like going through the motions to finish the game. It's not really like that, but at the same time it is. Because this game, I took about 50 hours, 50, to get to the end. And I'll tell you, I did not beat this game, which is another thing that I'm going to get into. So the first 2 things that I wrote down here are repetitive gameplay loop, and the game just took way too long. It really did. I think a game like this, like Tribes of Midgard, should have been wrapped up in like 15 to 20 hours. I think Tribes of Midgard came in at like 16 hours. And yeah, granted, I kind of ripped on that game a little bit for not having enough content and being too repetitive. This game has plenty of content, it seems. It is also too repetitive, but it is also way too freaking long. And I will say, yeah, I spent plenty of time doing some of the DLC content, like the pet content, and I think I touched on some of the Underworld, but that the base game still just had way too much. I mean, the amount of sections on the map, it didn't need that. Like, the game didn't need to have like 3 snow biomes and 2 desert biomes and like why did it need all of that? I don't know. I guess for the sake of story or whatever, whatever. But the story did not seem all that fleshed out to begin with. You're kind of following some radio signals, and you're following, you're trying to escape with this rocket. And let me just, before I get into that, no, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to get into that right now. So when you start out in the game, you start out kind of like in the middle of the map, a little bit off to the right of the map, whatever. And you start in this little suburban town, and you have to, it starts out nice. It kind of gives you these breadcrumbs of like, hey, go here, oh, you can break this. Oh, here's the first bonfire. Down the road a little bit is another bonfire. Oh, hey, look, there's your link tower. Go get all this stuff. And then we're going to give you a boss. And then once you kill that boss, you're going to, step out into the next area, and it's going to open up a little bit more for you. And you're going to, kind of, it drip feeds you content in that sort of manner. And as soon as you get to the end, I believe, of the second area, you see, or you reach the area of the game that's kind of like your main goal. So the goal is you're on this island, and there's a rocket. Like, the whole island is abandoned. The island was like this, I don't know, scientist haven. They were studying the essence of mana in the world, and there was this alien. Like, I don't know what the fuck was going on in this story. There were these aliens. There was a one-armed king. There was mana growing in the ground. There was, I don't know. If you asked me, I couldn't tell you what the story was. I really couldn't. And it kind of like, at face value, the story is you emerge from a shelter, you just survived the apocalypse. Now everyone on the island turned into zombies, and there's a rocket, there's an escape pod, you have to make it to that. Okay, so you make it to the escape pod, and you realize, oh shit, there's 4 power cells that are missing. Where could these power cells be? Well, it tells you. And they are scattered all throughout the map. Like, there's one in each corner of the map. Now, the first one, you can kind of go straight to. It takes you maybe an hour to get to it, fight your way through it, find some radios, whatever, make your way to that. Not a big deal. You fight a mini-boss, you get the power cell, put it on the rocket. To get the other 3, well, that's going to be 30, 40 hours of content. Why? It does not need to be that much. That's just my opinion. So, it gets very repetitive. And another thing that I wrote on this dislikes tab of mine is there were certain sections of this game where I got so fucking lost, and I had explored virtually every square inch of the available map, and there was like 3 sections of the map that I still haven't gotten to. Could not figure out how to get to them, because there were certain drawbridges that I was on the opposite end of that I couldn't, cross. And I could not figure it out for hours. And I mean, getting lost in some of those sections led me to other sections that I, may have missed or whatever. And I ended up going on almost a completionist run just because I couldn't figure out what the right direction was to go. So I ended up having to resort to walkthroughs. And I'm sorry, but if I actually have to resort to a walkthrough to get to the next part of your game, you're losing points on my scale, because I feel like a video game should do its best to guide the player in a way where they don't feel lost. They don't become frustrated, and they can kind of see, okay, that's path A. That's the golden path. I have to go that way. But there's all of this other stuff that I can go find, and all these other side missions that I can go and accomplish. Let me go do that first. However, I felt as if, okay, I don't know where the golden path is. I see all of these side missions on my map that I can try to go do, but maybe that'll lead me in the direction of the golden path. I have no clue. So I went and I did a lot of those missions, but it did not lead me in the path of the golden path. I was so lost trying to find my way into the desert. So I had to find a way to activate this train, and I just couldn't. It took way too long, and it took a walkthrough. So, I mean, once I figured it out, it was, I was set on the right path. There was no issue. But figuring out one step to set off that domino effect was just really frustrating. So that's like probably my biggest gripe about the game is just that. And so I got lost, and that's when I started to get frustrated and annoyed with the repetitive gameplay loop, because if I had just been able to keep going at a steady pace and not be, roadblocked so many times in so many different places on this map, it wouldn't have been so bad. But the fact that I had to keep repeating things and getting lost and getting confused, it pissed me off in the end. But I fought through it, and it wasn't so bad, and I made it, to the end of the game eventually. But what I will say is making it to the end of the game and the actual ending of the game hit me with one aspect of this game that I could not stand. And I mean, anybody who's played this game, please feel free to reach out to me, send me a message. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. But there were certain sections in the game, and I do absolutely have these sections on my gripes list. There were these hatches throughout the map, kind of like the one that you emerge out of in the beginning of the game. And there's relay towers nearby them typically. And so you have to open up these hatches, and it's essentially like a tower defense game. Why is it in there? I have no idea. This is a hack and slash isometric title. I don't know why they have a form of tower defense. It doesn't make sense. It's unnecessary. It's shoehorned in. I felt like it was pointless, personally. And I know that's a hot take, and sorry to the developers, but it did not appeal to me. And yeah, granted, I'm one in, I don't know how many people played this game, but I tried to do the first one that I came across, and I failed pretty hard, pretty fast. And because it throws these enemies at you that are like these, picture the super mutants from Fallout. They're kind of like that. And this is the only time that you see them in the entire game, is doing these hatch tower defense missions. And the reason I call them tower defense is because the mutants or the zombies that arise out of these hatches are set kind of on a set path to go to this link tower to destroy it. And you are given these blueprints for these turrets that you can set up, and you can throw landmines down, and you can make concrete barriers and all sorts of stuff to help you manage this fight. But why? Like, I don't know. I tried setting up the tower or the turrets. I tried putting down some defenses, some landmines. I got overwhelmed, and I was on like the first one that I came across. So the fact that at the very end of the game, and this isn't really a spoiler because this is just whatever, like the last thing you do, but it's not got nothing to do with the story. So you finally do get, to where you need to go, and you need to open this door essentially, and to be able to get into the escape pod. I don't remember. It's a little muddied. This was like a few weeks ago that I did this, and I don't really remember. But I did YouTube it, and somebody did it, and it was absolutely insane. So you have to set up all of your defenses, as much stuff as possible, because you are going to now deal with the most difficult zombie tower defense section in the entire game. And it's complete bullshit. Like, why? It felt, from the minute I came across that first one, I ignored all the rest because I did not like it. I did not enjoy it. I saw no fun in it. And it felt like they had captured a really fun gameplay loop with the hack and slash zombie fighting, actual like hands-on combat. Excuse me. And they just ignored that completely with this, like, I don't know, zombie defense. I didn't like it. And the fact that the end of the game, the actual ending of the game, is roadblocked by the most difficult one of these sections, that made me put the game down and never touch it again. I don't care what else the rest of this game had to offer me. I don't care what the DLC might have had to offer me. I don't care. The fact that I could not beat the main part of this game because of one of the worst sections in the game, from one of the worst features in the game, it's that pissed me off a lot. So there's not all bad in this game though, and I will definitely get into some of the things I like. I am ripping this game apart because I mean, just listen to what I'm saying. Like, there were a lot of sections and a lot of things in this game that frustrated me and I saw as pointless. And I mean, granted, I'm no master game developer. I'm sure that these were implemented with good intentions. I just think that some things weren't polished enough. And I think that last section and these tower defense sections were too difficult for what they were. They don't belong in this kind of game, and if you're going to try to put them in this kind of game, you have to give it a little bit of leeway. I don't know. That's just me. Like I said, I saw a video of some dude actually completing it by the skin of his teeth, and what he did to finish it was asinine. I mean, it was too much. So, whatever. But the last thing that I'll say as a gripe for this game really has nothing to do with the base game. It's one of the DLCs, but it seemed a bit late. I'm sorry, I got things stuck in my throat. But it seemed a bit lazy to me. And again, I'm not a master game developer. I don't know what it's like really to work in a game studio. So who knows what the budget was. Hell, I don't even know what studio made this game. I commend them for making this game, because in the end, I had fun. I did play it for those 40, 50 hours. But this one little thing was just a little bit of an irritation to me, and it was that in the pet DLC, when you reach like the main hub of the the pet area, the two statues that talk to you, I can't remember what they're called, but they clearly just used like AI generated voices, and like the kind of voices that you hear when you're watching those Instagram reels when people are like, you know, running around on Minecraft servers and while you're listening to a story be told. It's like, it was like that. It's like these really just generic, you know, Siri voices that just, I don't know, kind of seemed a bit lazy to me. Like, you had great voice acting throughout the main game, like throughout the radio transmissions and stuff like that. Like, you had like pretty good voice acting. Why did you not do that for this? It was very obvious that they did, you know, use that sort of method, and I don't know, that bothered me. But anyway, this game is not all negative. There are some things that I really do want to touch on that are very positive about this game, and that make me want to recommend it to other people. So let's get into that. And before I do that, I'm gonna put in one thing that's kind of like a mix between a like and a dislike. And one thing I like about this game, and I'm kind of a sucker for this in any game, but it was puzzles. And I love puzzles. I've always loved puzzles in games. They're so much fun. Like, I love, you know, Resident Evil 4, like the OG Resident Evil 4 had great puzzles. Like, the Uncharted games had fun puzzles. Like, I love puzzle games, even though I may not always be that great at them. But this game had a lot of different kinds of puzzles, and I like that. But where I came in not liking it was that some of them, most of them, pretty much all of them, were way too easy. It's way too easy. So you had sections in this game, these tower defense sections that were way too fucking hard, and then you had these puzzle sections that were way too easy. And I don't know what that says about me as a gamer or this as a game, but balance, I guess. Let's try to find it. But anyway, let's get into what I actually like about the game. And I mean, I'll just start off by saying, yeah, as I said before, this game does have a fun gameplay loop. It is fun. The actual combat in this game is enjoyable. I love because I mean, I played it on PC. I don't even know if this is available on console. I imagine it is, but I played it on PC, and it was a lot of fun, you know, running around the enemies, pressing my spacebar to quickly dodge and roll out of the way. And the combat was fun. It felt very tight and polished, and it was really, I don't know, I enjoyed it. So it got a little repetitive after a while, sure, but it was initially very fun. And especially once you start to upgrade your weapons and you start to become this, you know, super powerful, character who can like one-shot enemies, and depending on how you play, if you want to play sneaky or if you want to play like, you know, run and gun and just be destructive and blow shit up, it's fun. Like, there's a lot of different ways to go about combat in this game, and you have so many different opportunities to do that with a bunch of different kinds of enemies, and it's fun. I definitely recommend that the developer pursue that. Like, the actual combat was a good time. I did enjoy that. Another thing that I liked about this game was it kind of reminded me of The Witcher 3 a little bit, but like you had the cooking system. And I know it might be a little bit out there for me to reference The Witcher 3 in this regard, but I remember in The Witcher 3 you could make potions and make upgrades and stuff like that, and you only had to really do it once. In this game, as you go around the map and you go through different houses and different buildings and stuff like that, you search through cabinets and stoves and whatever, and sometimes you'll find cooking recipes, whether it be something that's super simple like grilled corn, or if you find something like branzino, something that's a little bit more complicated. As you progress through the game, you have the ability to get more and different ingredients. So you'll find some recipes that you can cook on the various stoves you find throughout houses in the game, or once you unlock the ability to cook at your bonfires, you can cook there. And as you go fishing at different fishing spots throughout the game, and you find gardens, and you know, I'm gonna dip back into gripes in a minute, but you'll find these gardens, you'll find these farms, different areas of the game, and you find different ingredients, vegetables, fruits, meats, whatever, and you can cook these different meals for recipes that you find. And each meal gives you a different stat boost. So maybe it'll make you a little bit faster, maybe it'll make you a little bit stronger, or give you better defense, whatever. I thought that was a really cool system. And I very much appreciate games that make the collect-a-thon aspect of their game more rewarding, like that did. So it always kind of reminds me of also Far Cry 3. If anybody remembers, back then, Far Cry 3, you had to go hunting or do these different hunting missions. It's also like Red Dead does it too. You go to, do these different hunting missions, and you gather different skins and different things, and depending on what animals you kill and skin and get their trophies, whatever, you can use that to upgrade your satchel or your backpack or your rifle or whatever the hell. So yeah, it's fun and very rewarding. I feel like it makes you want to go explore more of the map, and it makes you want to, really make the most of what there is in the game. So again, love that system. The cooking system I thought was really cool. Same thing with the general upgrade system. I mean, pretty much every weapon, accessory, and whatever items that you can find in the game and equip to your character, they all have upgrades that you can give them. So, like, usually things I think have up to like 5 upgrades. So it's really, really great, especially in the beginning of the game, to start breaking as much stuff as possible. And so when you start out, I think you start out with a baseball bat. And you can go around and you can break like, some bushes and some boxes in houses and stuff like that. And then you gather enough basic materials to go to the bonfire and upgrade that. And you see that it upgrades your strength. And as you hit certain items, you see on your screen, oh, this item's going to take, strength of 42 to break it. Okay, so you start upgrading your baseball bat until you can see that your baseball bat will do 42 damage. Now you can go back and break that item and gather that material. Sometimes it's a more, exclusive material. Sometimes it's something better. So there's a lot of backtracking in this game, but sometimes, and especially like for that kind of reason, it's worth it. So it makes you go back into areas that might have had an enemy that was too difficult, or an item that you couldn't break and stuff like that, and it makes you explore more of the map. And I thought that was cool. I just thought there was too much map. I mean, like, there you can see where I really appreciate the core mechanics of this game, but it's also very obvious where I think that they should have dialed it down a little bit. So yeah, there's a lot of great combat system, and but there's too much combat. There doesn't need to be 50 hours of this combat. It's not a fucking Cyberpunk. It's not an Assassin's Creed. It's not whatever. It's an indie game that I feel like could have been wrapped up with a solid story, fun gameplay, and making the players want more if you had given them a 20-hour experience. But I digress. Anyway, so to dip back into gripes though, regarding the cooking system specifically, I mentioned how there's different farms and different, places that you can go and gather vegetables and fruits and whatever. Another core mechanic that this game had that I never used, not once, was the farming system. And I don't know why this game felt the need to put that in. This isn't, at least it didn't feel like to me, a true survival game. It was fun as a hack and slash beat 'em up sort of adventure action title. It fit the perfect mold as that. Why does it need to have a building mechanic? Why does it need to have a farming mechanic? Why does it need to have so many of these other things shoehorned in that don't fucking matter? It was frustrating because it's like, okay, I can either farm this, which will take me however long, or I can just go to the other end of the map and get it myself. There's plenty of it here. And by the time you're even close to the end of the game, you have an overabundance of most materials. So why do I need to have a farming mechanic? And why did it take me 40 hours of this gameplay to even find that there is a dedicated section of the map meant for you to build a base? No joke, I was 40 hours into this game before I even figured that out. It does not tell you until you find it. I can't stress enough, and I know I probably look like an asshole game reviewer with Tribes of Midgard, me ragging on that shit 2 weeks ago, and then this week I'm ragging on Dismantle for the same thing. It's like, these games don't need all of these features. Yes, it adds a fun bit of personalization. Yes, it adds a little bit more gameplay, depending on, there's an audience for it, I'm sure. I'm not that target audience, and this is just my personal opinion. This is my game journal, but it just felt so unnecessary. I found the base building area. I did like the first couple basic missions for it, because every time you find something new, it gives you a side quest for it. So I did like the first basic couple things. Like I built a porch and I put a door on it, and I was like, okay, cool, I'm done with that. But it doesn't, like, I could have gone the entire game without ever finding that, and it wouldn't have changed anything. I could have gone the entire game without building anything, and it wouldn't have changed anything. Granted, yeah, the only reason that this game really has a building mechanic is so that you can do the tower defense sections. That seems to be it. Because it's not like Tribes of Midgard, where you're going to have to sporadically make ladders staircases so that you can climb to different cliffs and stuff like that. This game doesn't have that. This game has dedicated portals that you have to unlock much, much later in the game so that you can explore certain areas of the map that were locked to you before. But the only reason I could find this game had a dedicated building section was for those tower defense missions, and that was it. But anyway, I'm done griping on that. You guys have heard about that enough. But let's see, where did I leave off? Oh, so this game does have a fair amount of different accessories and stuff that you can attach to your player, because you have your main weapon slot. You have I think 4 tool slots, and then you have 2 accessory slots. And there's a lot of different accessories that you can equip to your player. You can do grenades or landmines, or you can have these certain items that, attract, deer and shit, or you can control your pet with a bone. And there's a lot of different things. There's teleportation ones. The one that I found I carried on me at almost all times was the ability to quick transport everything in your hotbar into the storage box, so that you don't have to constantly run to a bonfire in order to put your stuff back. So Yeah, because in this game, there's at every bonfire, there's also like a yellow storage bin, and that storage bin you can just go up to and dump all the stuff that's in your inventory without having to sit at the bonfire and respawn all the enemies, which is really great, honestly, because like if you're still full health and you've destroyed a lot of the enemies in a new area, you can just dump the stuff that you've collected and go back to fighting without having to respawn everything. So I thought that was actually a really cool, nice addition to this game. Very helpful. Honestly sped up the gameplay quite a bit. But once I found this item that I could just right click on my mouse and have everything just instantly teleport back, and I don't even have to leave the area I'm standing in, oh my god, what a game changer. That was fantastic. And you could do it, I think, 2 times before you had to go back to the bonfire and recharge that item. So if you are entering a new area, god, sorry, my voice is like going out. If you're entering a new area and you see on your map, okay, there's a bonfire over here, or there's the relay tower over there, all I gotta do is make it through this section of the map to get there, and then I can add the attachment to the relay tower, and then I can start killing everything and nothing's gonna respawn. Perfect. I did that with multiple areas of the map, and once I found that item, I wouldn't even stop at bonfires that I found along the way. Unless I was close to death, I would just run for it. I would just run my way through, maybe fighting some of the zombies if I needed to, but I would just run up to the link tower as fast as possible if there wasn't like a mini boss standing around it, throw the attachment on there, unlock the area, and then I would go fight stuff. Because by that point, even if you die, it doesn't matter, because anything that you just killed now is done. Like it's not going to come back when you respawn. So it's a very nice feature to be able to just teleport all the items in your inventory straight back to the stash box. Perfect. Loved it. There's not a lot else really I want to talk about with the likes section. I mean, as I ramble, I'm sure I'll think of another couple of things, but the one thing that I will say this game was really, really great for was the fact that it is kind of a mindless action game that doesn't really require a lot of focus. It's fun, and it's really easy to play if you're also watching TV. Like I said, I think in the intro, I played this game while watching college lectures because the class that I was in at the time, I wasn't like doing anything that I had to follow along with in, say, Unreal Engine or whatever. But I still needed to watch the lectures so that I could, be good for the quizzes and gather the knowledge. But because I didn't really have to do anything, I didn't have to take notes, I didn't have to do anything collaboratively with the video, I could just do whatever. So I was like, I need something that I can just play somewhat mindlessly that I'll be able to pay attention to this lecture at the same time. And I didn't feel like playing RuneScape at the time, so I was like, oh, I'll just try this game Dismantle, and it worked phenomenally. I was so straight up, I probably put most of my time playing this game while I was watching school lectures, like a solid 20 hours, 30 hours, just watching school lectures while I played this game, and it worked great. So if you want to like binge watch a TV show, or if you're just getting into anime or something like that, or if you want to watch the entirety of One Piece, yeah, this game's probably the one for you. And aside from that, like I will say I really did like the level design. The map design in this game was actually pretty cool. I liked that you could knock enemies off the map. You could fall off it yourself, but it was... Actually, I don't even know if you could. I don't know. It's... Like, I can see it in my head. I liked the different biomes that you were in. I thought that the map was pretty well laid out, even though at some points, like I said, it got very confusing and I got lost and I had to look up a walkthrough. I thought that once I finally figured it out, it was pretty easy. And I did like... One thing that I like about the Souls games, even though I kind of can't stand the Souls games for a lot of reasons, is the fact that they make loops in the game. So if you don't know what I mean by that, like as you enter an area and you start working your way through the area, once you finally get to the end of that area, you kind of think to yourself like, ah, shit, now that I finally killed the boss, I have to walk all the way back. No, dude, just pull this lever or drop this bridge or open this door and you're right back where you started. That's what I mean by loop. And I thought that this game did that very well. Especially when you're kind of like exploring any of the research facilities and at the end of it you get to open up a gate that you've seen hours ago in one end of an area, and you're kind of like, oh wait, how do I get in there? I can see the computer terminal that I need to open this gate. So then I don't know, you just kind of like explore the map and you're doing your thing, and then all of a sudden you just come across this computer terminal thinking, huh, this looks familiar, and you open it up and yeah, you're right back where you started. So cool game design, cool level design. This is, I guess, going to be a little bit of a shorter episode. I just want to reiterate, like, yeah, I did enjoy this game. I had fun with it for a while. I think a big part of the reason why I kept playing through it like I did was because I didn't really have to focus on it. I think that if I paid full price for this game and that was the ending I was met with, I would have been very frustrated. Like, if I paid $20 or more for this game, I would have been pretty frustrated. If you're the kind of player who looks at a game's value as how many hours can I get out of it, this is probably going to be a good one for you. But if you're in a game for a good story, fulfilling gameplay, a rewarding ending, nah, this ain't it. But that being said, I will give this thing a rating. And I don't know. This one, I'm just going to score it out of 10. I think it is fun. It does have a fun combat system. It's got a fun upgrade system. You're kind of, you want to find more weapons and tools and stuff like that. I just think that there's too much. I think that if they found a way to, I don't know, consolidate it a little bit, cut it in half, then it would have been a lot more rewarding. It would have been a lot more fulfilling. I would have been more invested in it for longer. Because I reached a point where, like, probably around hour 30, the game honestly just started to feel like a chore. And I put in time into the DLCs a little bit. So the 40, 50 hours isn't really for the, main base game, but probably a good 30 of it, 35 were. And it was just too much. I mean, I sound like a broken record saying that. I know I've said that a million times here, but I think on a scale from 1 to 10, I don't want to be too hard on this game. I don't know. I'm really floating around the 5.5 range. Because it loses a lot of points for not... I mean, yeah, you could just tell me to get good. You could tell me to try harder. But the end of the game being that tower defense section that is so freaking hard. And I mean, YouTube it. Like, if you have no interest in playing this game, look up Dismantle ending and you'll see exactly what I mean. It's ridiculous. The amount of zombies, the amount of like super mutant zombies that they throw at you for that section, it's insulting. It's bullshit. So yeah, I think where I sit with this game is a solid 5.5. It just, I don't know. I tried. I really gave it the old college try at the end, and it didn't. I couldn't finish it, and it hit a point. I wasn't having fun anymore. And once a game stops being fun, why are you playing it? I'm not getting paid to play it. Why would I play it? So, yeah, that's my thoughts. But anyway, if you hung out to the end of this episode and all my ramblings and my coughing, thank you so much for hanging out. I really do appreciate it. If you want to give me a follow, if you like what you heard, please, any ratings, likes, follows, anything that you can give me on, Spotify or anything like that really does help me out. I appreciate it. And as I say with every episode, I would love nothing more than to hear your thoughts. You know, if you like this game and you disagree with my rating, send me. You know, tell me. So you can find me on Instagram at @TheBardsOfGamer. You can find me on Twitter or X at 2BardsOfGaming with the number 2. You can also find links to all my socials as well as my email and whatever at thebardsofgamingpodcast.com. There's also links there to all my merch if you're interested. And yeah, so thank you again so much for listening, and I will see you guys next time. Adios.